Well, so glad you can join us here on a Wednesday. Good morning to you. I'm Marlon Bowling with a look at our ag commodity markets here today. And as we get ready to kick off our daytime session, I want to go to the phones and welcome our regular analyst this time of day. It's Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. And Rich, I'm so glad I had a chance to talk with you today. There is so much going on impacting the grain trade. We have private crop tours going on. You guys have your own survey going on where producers themselves are involved in that. Just got off the wire a couple of news items here I wanted to share with everybody, and it involves soybean sales yet again. And we were talking earlier this week about some huge soybean sales overnight. And then we have another 295,000 tons I see reported sold overnight to unknown destinations. But there's a big caveat, and I mean a big caveat to that, because China apparently went in and canceled 640,970 tons of, it was actually, let me look here, I think it was actually old crop soybeans that they canceled. Now, we had some big sales earlier this week of new crop soybeans. Do you think this could be a case where they're just kind of rolling that over, or what's all going on here? Do you know?
I think this is the exact issue here right now. So this 649,970,000 metric tons. In this case, this converts about 24 million bushels. And this 24 million bushels that was canceled, probably not unexpected, though. Keep in mind, as of the most recent information we have, the 10th, we had a record 188 million bushels of still to be shipped old crop. So we knew we'd have these cancellations. I'm not going to say this is any big surprise to the industry, because in this case, this is actually valid. Our point is most of these buyers at this time of year do like to get some new crop, fresh product in this case. So a lot of them will be making these either direct cancellations of the remaining old crop, or in fact, in a lot of cases, they may be rolling to new crop here in the coming weeks as well.
Okay, and of course, all kinds of information flying around this week based on private crop tours that are going on through the Midwest, trying to figure out what our crop yields might be this year. Seems to be a lot of folks that don't believe the USDA numbers. You have your own survey going on. What is the latest information in that regard?
So as far as the general pro-farmer crop tour discussion as of yesterday, the numbers that came out with for Indiana and Nebraska, they were higher than their own last year estimates. And that's probably not a major surprise. Maybe on the Nebraska side, a lot of people might have questions about that. But our key question for us, and we're finding in our own survey, will actually be the Iowa and Illinois numbers, which will be covered here directly ahead by their own survey. So our 1 week survey right now, as far as our results, imply that Iowa running about 8 bushels under what USDA was implying for August. So we're at 180 right now for our raw numbers for our survey for Iowa. And Illinois, the big question there, we have 5 bushels under USDA's August total. So let's see if that is also confirmed by this other crop tour going on in the industry as well.
Now, what do we do with all this data when we get to the end of the week here and everybody has an estimate, but we don't know how accurate it's going to be because the results are so varied? Is it just going to be strictly weather-based as far as market reaction then? Because we are hearing a lot of rumors about maybe some frost or even freezing temperatures by the end of the month.
That's certainly a great question and great discussion point. And, you know, we really haven't had any lasting frost-based rally or frost-based cut in production in recent years. So on this one, there's a lot of questions, but I do have to point out that maybe there's some changing tide in terms of the viewpoint. Obviously, like I said, for the outside states, we're seeing some generally good yields, maybe not seeing the shortfalls we expected, but I would suggest that as we get towards the central portion of the Midwest, that we probably will see maybe a little more problems develop there.
Okay, Rich, we'll come back in a moment and analyze our livestock trade as it gets set up for today's session. Rich Nelson is with Allendale, and we'll be right back. Well, thanks for joining us here on a Wednesday. I'm Marlon Bowling with you, and we have a lot of stuff going on in the markets here this week, and not only on the grain side, but also on the livestock side as well. We're talking right now with Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. Before we get into our livestock talk, when we came out of the trading session yesterday during the daytime trade, Rich, we had USDA releasing their cold storage report. Sometimes that tends to be kind of a yawner of an update. Sometimes it can be a fairly significant market mover. How was it this time?
As far far as the numbers overall, we've got to say they did come in a little higher than expected on the beef end, 430 million pounds. That was higher than the trade expectation of 416. Numbers on the pork side did come in at 556 million bushels. That was slightly lower than the trade expectation of 561. And there's only two firms which put out estimates, ourselves and Bob Brown out of Oklahoma. So in terms of these numbers, probably not a major market mover for today, but slightly bearish on beef, slightly positive for pork.
I did notice we had poultry numbers as well, and if you look at the frozen poultry supplies total together, that's including chicken and turkey combined, the supplies compared to a month ago were up 1% for the combination of the two. It was up 2% from a year ago. Meanwhile, we had the frozen chicken was down 1 point and down 4% from a year ago, but the turkey was up significantly. It was up 4% and up 11% from 1 year ago on the turkey supplies. I guess in a way that would maybe take a little bit of the pressure off of the meat side there.
We sure hope so, especially with our poultry being the largest meat of the protein complex. So hopefully it does alleviate some of our concern here. But I think for the markets, maybe we'll be looking at some our near-term cash cattle trade and these other things going on here right now as well.
Okay, cash cattle trade yesterday. It looked like we only sold a few hundred head. Is everything pretty much waiting on the Fed cattle exchange today before we get the ball rolling again?
I've got to say so. So these few sales yesterday, just a little bit lower than last week at 173 here in terms of the trades viewpoint, though. I think, obviously, like I said, the Fed cattle exchange will see maybe a couple pens go here today. A lot of people still looking at this question regarding where the big action will be for this week, whether it's going to be $1, $2, or $3 lower. So we're not quite sure yet.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Now, let's take a look here at the beef cutout values and also the pork cutout values that came out yesterday. Boy, we had just a tremendous decline on the pork side and the bellies, and we'll get to that in a second. Choice cuts on the beef side, we're down 6 cents on the choice cuts. We had selects down 73. But if you look at the pork carcass cutout values yesterday, now in the afternoon update that we got from USDA, let's take a look at those numbers. We had the carcass cutout values down $1.42 yesterday, but at the end of the day, we had the primal belly cuts down $12.24. So just like we had seen at midday, sharp losses there. I suppose that's not going to be supportive to the futures.
Certainly shouldn't be. And I think a lot of people have pointed out that while the belly side does have these violent fluctuations, which often distort the overall pork cutout number quite a bit, in this case, this drop does kind of fit in with what should be happening at this time of year. With summer wrapping up and our featuring maybe slightly declining there on the bacon side of things, we probably should see a lot of this hot air, which has been built up validly during the summer, now being taken out of these markets here.
All right. Well, thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. And Mark, we're getting close to firing off the starting gun here on all the markets.
You got quite a Bible going there, a stack of stuff right here, and
it's a big
getting
stack
bigger,
today.
getting taller. Thanks, Marlon.